The abandoned Gilley's Hotel holds a dark story, forbidden from the Appalachian record books. We're about to uncover Gilley's forbidden past. Quick pause. Drop your local time and where you're watching from in the comments. Eye clears throat, read everyone. Hit subscribe for alerts on the next story. Now, let's begin. Let me paint the picture not with colors, but with the kind of truth that follows you home and sticks to your boots. John Bull, that's the man, a blacksmith by trade, shoulders as wide as an ox yoke, hands scarred black from a lifetime of feeding iron and fire. No silver spoon, no noble blood, just a man who bent things to his will when the world refused to move. The Commonwealth of Virginia hands him 55 acres like it's just a handshake and a spit in the dirt, payment for services rendered. Whatever those were, they never made it into any ledger worth reading. No brass band, no speeches, no preacher to bless the claim. Just him, an axe, a mule named Gray, and 2 ridges in eastern Tennessee the Cherokee once called their own, before bayonets and treaties changed the map. From dawn's first gray smear till the stars prick through, he swings that axe, clears oak and pine. Builds a forge first because a man like John Bull knows fire, is more honest than any government promise. He calls the place Bull's Gap, direct, simple, like the man himself. For 65 years, it's barely a footnote. A natural break in the Appalachian ridgeline, just wide enough for a mule train loaded with tobacco or a family heading west with everything they own strapped to their backs. Travelers stop at the creek to water horses, swap news of Indian troubles up north, or haggle over a jug of corn liquor from a one-room shack that smells of damp wool and regret. The mountains rise around it like cathedral walls, peaks shrouded in morning mist, valleys where the wind carries whispers from God knows where, never lingering to explain. Folks pass through, few stay. The soil's too rocky for much beyond hogs and corn. Winters bite deep, turning fingers black. Summers bring fevers from the creek. It's nothing more than a gap in the mountains, a place the railroad line forgot to close, but the mountains never forget. They wait, they watch. Then 1857 comes calling like a wolf at the door. The East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad ET&V, to those who dream in steam and ledgers, sends its surveyors. These aren't hill folk, these are city men from Richmond and Knoxville, wool suits too tight for the heat, pocket watches ticking like impatient hearts, chains and levels in their hands, maps rolled under their arms. They climb the ridges at dawn, boots slipping on shale. They pace the gap with cold eyes, men who see land not as home, but as profit per mile. They measure, they argue over coffee boiled black in tin cups. They nod once final as a judge's gavel. This is the route. Word spreads faster than smallpox. Land that traded for a sack of salt now fetches dollars by the hundred. Tents sprout overnight canvas cities for gamblers, merchants, cooks with greasy aprons. The gap that once swallowed travelers whole now hungers for iron. Rails to bind Georgia to Virginia, Knoxville to the sea. Rails to carry cotton, coal, cannons, whatever America needs to feed its growing belly. Surveyors mark the grade with white flags whipping in the wind, stakes hammered deep. The air hums with promise. Bull's Gap swells from a dozen cabins to 300 souls chasing the dream of easy money. But dreams like that need laying. And laying rails through Appalachian granite ain't no Sunday picnic. They need men, hundreds, thousands. Men with mouths that don't complain and backs that don't break, so they bring the enslaved no names. No muster rolls, no mercy in the record books. Dawn breaks cold over frozen mud that clings like sin. Chains rattle soft in November fog, thick as grief. Pickaxes bite granite that fights back, sparks fly. Stone chipping faces raw. Men brothers from Carolina plantations, fathers bought cheap in Chattanooga markets, sons barely bearded, drag 800-pound iron rails through mire that sucks boots to the knee. Foremen perch on horseback, whips coiled like snakes at their belts, land, Draws cut the air sharper than wind off the ridges. Faster, you black sons of. Straighten that curve, no water till Knoxville says so. The work stretches 4 years into eternity. Dynamite cracks mountainsides, burying crews in rock slides that scream down like God's own wrath. Typhoid from creek water hollows bellies to caves. Dozens gone in a week. Bodies wrapped in burlap and rolled into shallow cuts. Dysentery turns men to ghosts before noon. Malaria hums in the hollers after dark. One crew clears a cut near the gap's narrowest throat. A rail slips, crushes a leg clean off at the hip. The man screams till his throat bursts. No doctor within 20 miles. They leave him there twitching in the mud because the auction block in Nashville ships replacements by flatboat. No kin notified, no prayers read. Just mountains swallowing every gasp, every curse, every plea for Mommy. By spring of '59, the grade's half done. Camp fever sweeps the tents, cholera this time courtesy of a dead mule upstream. 50 gone in days, buried in unmarked pits where the creek bends lazy. The foremen don't blink, keep swinging, they say, and the hammers fall. Winter '60, ice coats the cuts like glass. A blast goes wrong, powder damp, fuse too short. The mountain answers with a roar that echoes to Virginia. 23 men under rubble. They dig out 8 alive. The rest fertilize the fill dirt for crosties. No widow's pensions, no coroner's report. No lines in the ET&V ledger, but labor expended 400. By 1861, the first locomotive hauls through a black beast of iron and steam, whistle piercing the ridges like Judgment Day. Brass gleams, sycamores line the platform, cheering in silk hats with tumblers of bourbon. The town fathers toast the future. Bull's Gap booms to 300 permanent soul stores, a smithy, a dry goods with calico from Charleston. Steam hisses. Wheels grind gravel. The Gap John Bull claimed with deed and axe has become America's artery. But under every spike driven true, every gravel bed tamped flat, every crusty bedded deep blood clay. Mass graves in railroad uniforms, a town born from unrecorded slaughter. And right there, where the tracks curve sharpest through the Gap's throat, where the grade demanded the most lives, the dirt waits patient for what rises above, the Gilley's Hotel. The mountains lean in close, rails sing their triumph under a full moon. The land beneath remembers every spike, every scream, every chain, link snap. No record book from Washington to Richmond will ever list the true foundation cost. No official history names the dead beneath the prosperity. But those future walls, when they rise, they'll carry the weight. They'll hold the silence the mountains demand. Bull's Gap was never just a gap. It was the first forbidden page. The land blood chose back.